Hi everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Health Revolution 2022. I am Neha Ranglani, an integrative nutritionist and health coach. And I've been practicing in this field for the last 14 years. I help people reverse health conditions and get back to their best health in the most natural way possible by bringing about modifications in their lifestyle and diet and overall in their mindset and just the way they live and the way they eat and the way they think as well. So I'm super excited today to be doing this, to be hosting this session on this very important but very unspoken and uncovered topic, which is teen health, the hormonal orchestra. Now, today we hear a lot of people going through hormonal issues. We see adults facing period problems, especially girls. Women who are menopausal age facing hormonal issues during menopause, men facing fertility issues, but we don't understand and we really don't look into it in a way that all these hormonal issues which are happening at in our adulthood actually stems from our early years, right? In fact, right from our childhood. And teenage years are the most important years to build the foundation of a healthy hormonal system. And that's the time we need to pay most attention to our diet, to our lifestyle, and in general, to our life if we want to live a healthier life in our adulthood. So, today, let's cover everything about how we can take care of our teenagers' hormonal health and make sure that they have a healthier hormonal um, foundation and a healthier hormonal strength when they become adults, right? So, So first, let's understand what are hormones. I think we all know, but let us just recap it once and recollect what are hormones so that we can understand the further presentation a little better. Hormones are chemicals produced by the glands in the endocrine system that travel through the bloodstream to the tissues and organs, delivering messages that tell the organs what to do and when to do it. So basically, hormones are chemical messengers. They are released by one gland, but they travel all across the body to tell our cells and organs what they have to do at what time and how, right? And hormones regulate various systems in our human body, including digestion, growth, metabolism, reproduction, movement, mood, respiration, stress, tissue function, and basically our hormones, because they're chemical messengers, they um, manipulate and regulate a lot of functions in our body. And if that goes haywire, our regulation in the body goes haywire, right? So hormonal imbalance occurs when the body produces too much or too little of the important hormones in your bloodstream. And an occasional irregularity is not that harmful because obviously, the body knows how to balance it. But a major imbalance or a chronic imbalance for the longest period of time, say you have an imbalance in your hormones, it's definitely going to lead to severe consequences on your health, right? So that's why it's very important to lay a strong, healthy foundation of your hormones right in your early years. And that is what is going to help us build a healthier future. So this was all about hormones. Now, this is a quote which I really love this quote, and it just came to my mind, so I kind of penned it down here. Hormones are like musical notes. One note off, and the music turns into noise. So, because they're so delicately balanced in our body, they are so well regulated, and there's exact mechanism of every hormone needed in the right amount at the right time. If any of that goes off, there's havoc in the body, right? So one note off and the music turns into noise. And this is what we need to take care of. So let's understand teenage hormones. Now we all know that when our kids get into the teenage years, they go through a lot of changes. We've been through it, and we know they are going to go through it. In girls, FSH and LH, these are the two hormones which instruct the ovaries to start producing estrogen, which is one of the most primary female sex hormones, and that helps to produce eggs. Girls then, of course, at that time, they grow taller, they put on weight, muscle mass. There's more fat mass on the body, especially on the chest, on the hips, on the abdomen. They will start to have their menstrual cycle and they develop fuller breasts and wider hips. Body hair grows on the legs, underarms, over the private organs, the sex organs as a result. of the teenage girl hormones, and emotions can start to become more volatile and intense. So these are the changes, the basic changes that you'll see in girls. And in boys, puberty hormones obviously tell the testes to produce more testosterone, male sex hormone, and sperms. Boys will grow taller, again, put on weight, muscle mass. They develop larger sex organs and will be able to ejaculate, release sperms. They also develop hair all over their body and on the private parts as well. And this is exactly what happens and what's supposed to happen when your child enters the teens. But today, we are not seeing that. Today, we are seeing a lot of problems and a lot of hormonal issues, a lot of imbalances in this entire natural process of the teenage hormones or the teenagers when when they just enter their puberty phase. There are a lot of changes which are very unpleasant that we are seeing in kids today. So let's understand what is the emotional drama like in teens, right? So in females, today we are seeing early menarche. We are seeing early menstruation. So when we were kids, when we were young, our mothers were young, the normal age to get periods was after 12 years. So between 12 and 14, sometimes even 15, girls would get their periods that late. But today, girls are getting periods at the age of 8 and 9 and 10 and 11, which is very, very early. So the normal average age is 12. Anything before 12 is called early menarche. And this usually happens because it's not only happening at that time, the foundation of this is laid in the childhood. So if your girl child is overweight, obese, or probably has a lot of habit of eating junk food and they have higher fat percentage in the body, they produce more estrogen. Now fat is, though it's a tissue, but it actually produces more estrogen. It produces estrogen, right? Along with our ovaries, our fat also produces small amounts of estrogen. But when the fat amount in the body increases, there's more estrogen. So more estrogen means faster development of reproductive organs and faster development of everything, which then leads to early periods. Also, today, girls are using a lot of chemicalized products. A lot of chemicals are being ingested through beauty products, say, or makeup, creams, lotions, through the food itself, which has so much pesticides, through plastics. Everything around us is plastic, so BPAs and, um, all the nasty chemicals they're entering our body, and these are actually endocrine disruptors, which means that your body they mimic your hormones in the body. They're called xenoestrogens. So they mimic the estrogen in the body and they create havoc with your own hormonal balance. And research says that these are the reasons because of which the girls today could be getting into early periods. Then, of course, we've seen a lot of females suffering with PCOS, battling with, irregular menstrual cycle. Some have PCOS, obviously, is a different metabolic disorder in itself, but just in general, irregular menstrual cycle. So either they'll have scanty periods or very heavy periods, or, they would just have very painful periods. So we're seeing all of that in girls today. PCOS is in itself a metabolic disorder which affects your entire body, and that happens because of excess male hormones. Now, that also happens because of a lot of reasons, which we're going to cover. Um, that leads to acne, the excess male hormones, acne, hirsutism, which is excess hair growth on the chin, on the face, on the body parts, the thick hair growth. And this literally pulls down the confidence of young girls, and it makes them feel very, very uncomfortable in their own body, which is why we're seeing a lot of girls today with depression, anxiety, and that is something that we really need to take care of. Pain in the abdomen or back during menstruation, so very, very painful periods, especially in endometriosis. Again, we are seeing a lot of girls with endometriosis today. That again is an inflammatory condition which causes a lot of pain. PMS, premenstrual syndrome. So before getting their periods, they get hormonal, they get irritable, angry, breast tenderness. That's because of estrogen dominance. There's more estrogen, less progesterone, and or the estrogen is not getting cleared from the gut, from the body well, not getting metabolized well, either because your liver is poor or because their gut is not clean, they have constipation. So because of that, there's a lot of hormonal ups and downs. I mean, basically, there's no balance between estrogen and progesterone. Progesterone is less, estrogen is high, because of which all the PMS symptoms come up. Unexplained weight gain, so weight gain on the stomach, on the hips, on the thighs, and high prolactin levels is one hormonal issue we are seeing in young women today because of stress and because of poor food habits is high prolactin. Now, prolactin, we all know, is a hormone produced when you're lactating. But what's happening today is women with stress and even young girls, I've seen young girls as young as 16, 17, 18 having high prolactin levels. So that is also a major imbalance. This again leads to a lot of period issues. You don't get your periods or you get it really scanty and you start gaining a lot of weight. The bust size becomes bigger, which girls get very uncomfortable about. So these are the changes that we are seeing in females. Now in men, it's literally again the same things that we are doing in our day-to-day life, the habits, the stress, the food, all of that, which actually increases estrogen more than testosterone. Now, men are supposed to have more testosterone, but with these chemicals that we are ingesting and with this with the lifestyle we are leading, we are having more estrogen. I mean, the men have the young men, the teenage boys have more estrogen in their body, because of which there's poor muscle development. Um, because estrogen helps you, make your body more feminine, and there's hair fall and hair thinning. Man boobs, a lot of kids today, especially obese children, obese boys, and obese teens, we see man boobs where they have soft chests and they literally look like small boobs, and that's not very. It's absolutely confidence shattering for a man, just like a woman when she gets hair on the chin, it's very confidence shattering. The same thing is for the teenage boys as well, because it can get very difficult for them to face their peers where they are made fun of and body shamed and stuff like that. Poor sex drive, so that's the time when they're developing a sex drive. That's the time when they start um, exploring or observing or discovering new parts of themselves. But when they don't feel it because of the hormonal imbalances in them, that can also affect them mentally, which can affect their confidence, which can lead to mood swings, depression, anxiety, irritability. So I think more or less you'll see uh, the repercussions of these hormonal imbalances are same on boys and girls, where boys and girls literally do not feel comfortable in their body. They have the same mental issues. They are facing a lot of discomfort within themselves. And I think it's a fight within their own self, with their own body. And that's what we want to help our teens to get over, right? We want to make sure that they do not go through this, because it's not really healthy for them as adults to deal with such issues. So, what are the causes and solutions of hormonal imbalances in teens? Now, again, this is extremely important to understand that a lot of factors play a role when it comes to when it comes to your hormones, because they are very delicate. So anything that you are doing wrong will actually create an imbalance in your body. Also, it's very important to understand one thing, that our lifestyle plays a very important role in the way our body and our hormones work. So, of course, genetically, you could be having hormonal issues. Like, once you're getting into puberty, teens may discover that they have hormonal issues because of genetics, but those are very rare. And your genes can only express themselves once there is a trigger. So, once the environment triggers, there are environmental triggers, that's when your genes get activated. So not really that, if you have every gene for every issue is when you will develop every issue, not necessarily. So it's important that we understand this and we change the way we live and we change the way we help our teenagers to eat, so that they can really overcome this or avoid these issues, and then from there start living a much healthier life. Yeah. So the first factor which actually affects the teenagers' hormonal balance is food. Now, food is the raw material for our hormones. Food is the raw material for our body. It literally builds every cell in our body. It literally is the genetic information that you are giving to your body through the food, because the food contains nutrients. Every cell in your body needs nutrients. And what you put in your mouth and what you eat is what determines what your body is going to produce, right? Now, when I say inflammatory foods today, a lot of foods that we are eating today are inflammatory. What is inflammation? First, let's understand inflammation. Inflammation is basically a reaction in the body to protect us. So say you get a cut on your hand and you've just bruised yourself. There'll be a lot of blood flow over here, and you'll have scarring on your hand, which actually prevents the blood from which prevents you from overbleeding, right? And it becomes red and swollen and tender, and that's inflammation. But that's acute and that's necessary to save your life. Similarly, internally also, we go through inflammation because the body goes through a lot of wear and tear inside. So when we eat something wrong, or when something is not right in the body, the inflammation level goes up so that we can protect ourselves. But chronic inflammation, so say chronically, if your hand is bruised and it's paining all the time, you'll not be able to work. Eventually, it will become a big wound, and it will become it will become something that you can't live with, right? Internally, when we keep doing the wrong things to our body, when we keep putting the wrong foods in our body is highly inflamed all the time. This inflammation levels are high all the time. And when that happens, instead of actually protecting us, that inflammation starts damaging our organs and cells, because that's the level our body can't deal with then, right? So there's damage that's happening to your organs and cells, and that starts affecting your hormones. That starts damaging your ovaries, your reproductive organs, the testicles in men, and that is what we don't want. And this can start as early as in childhood. So if your child starts facing hormonal issues when they are teens, it probably has started when they were kids. So it's very important to take care of what you are feeding your kids, whether your kids are younger now and going to get into their teens, or they're already teens. It's important to understand the food, right? So we have to make sure that we remove all the inflammatory foods from our diet, especially um, dairy is very inflammatory today. For most people, dairy causes hormonal imbalances. So when I have my PCOS clients, when I have young boys coming with hormonal or weight issues, I make sure that I first take off their dairy, because dairy has something called as IGF-1, which is the insulin growth factor. And uh, we already have insulin imbalances in our body and inflammation, which worsens it with dairy. Also, dairy has its own hormones. It has toxins, antibiotics, growth hormones, which we don't want, because we don't want to grow we don't want to grow before our age, right? So dairy is one thing that one really needs to take care of. Then meat is highly inflammatory, because again, there are a lot of toxins, there are a lot of chemicals, there are a lot of additives in today's meat that we are consuming. Besides that, meat is very acidic and it's inflammatory for the gut and for the body. Also, meat is very it's very heavy for the liver to process. So basically, it's high in fat and protein, which is heavy for the gut and burdensome for the liver as well. And when we want to heal our body, and when we want to take care of our hormones, we need to really unburden the liver. So that's why dairy and meat are my first two picks. Then, of course, we have gluten. The gluten today that you're getting, the wheat that you're getting today is modern, hybrid. It's very hybrid. It has proteins which we didn't have in the wheat earlier. And those proteins actually start damaging our gut lining. They start creating havoc with our gut lining, and that causes a lot of inflammation. Then we have refined oils, which are again chemically processed and chemicalized, which again cause a lot of problem for our liver, for our gut, and cause fatty liver, cause insulin resistance, which we don't want. Refined sugar, again, no nutrients, high on chemicals, increases the glycemic load on the body, increases insulin resistance, and increases inflammation. So I think these are my top foods which we really need to take care of to avoid in a child's diet if we want to reduce inflammation. Now, what are the things? What are the solutions that we need to adopt? Opt for natural foods as much as possible. Organic is better. So basically, foods, I always tell my clients, eat foods that grow on a plant and not made in a plant. So the more you eat close to nature, more fruits, more vegetables, more sprouts, having foods which literally our grandparents lived on, subsies, your millet rotis. There's so much that you can eat which is natural and healthy. The better your hormones will work, right? Of course, kids today can't live without pizzas, burgers, and pastas, and sodas, colas, teas, coffees. But these are all the inflammatory foods which we need to take off, because affect our hormones. Eat a rainbow for its antioxidant and fiber. So we need antioxidants because there's a lot of oxidation that's happening in our body today because of the pollution, because of the stress. There's enough damage that's happening inside, and we need antioxidants. And these antioxidants come from all the colorful fruits that you eat. So all your red, orange, greens, purples, all the foods have different antioxidants which actually build your strength in the body to fight the free radicals which actually damage your cells and cause hormonal issues. And also, the more you eat these colorful fruits and vegetables, the more fiber you get, and the more fiber you get, the better your gut bacteria is. You feed the gut bacteria, which we're going to talk about in the next slide. Also, the more fiber, the better your hormones work, because fiber helps to eliminate excess of everything. So be it cholesterol, which if it's excess, of course, that's a fat, but I'm talking about excess estrogen. If there's excess testosterone, anything in the body, the fiber helps to cleanse it well from your gut. So that's why fiber-rich foods are very, very important. So make sure you're including your nuts, seeds, your sprouts, your green leafy vegetables, and your fruits and all the natural stuff. Add dairy-free alternatives. So avoid dairy, like I said. So you could actually opt for almond milk, homemade coconut milk. You could make peanut curd at home. You can use organic non-GMO tofu, and these are all amazing dairy-free alternatives. Tempeh is a great option today for the meaty texture in case your kids love meat. Include plant-based proteins. Now, proteins are very important for the development of boys, and also for hormones for boys, girls, and for hormonal balance. But you need to get proteins from the right source, which are not acidic, which are healthier for the gut. So plant-based protein options like your chickpeas, sprouts, beans, nuts, seeds, chia seeds, quinoa, amaranth. Now, these are some amazing protein options which you can include in your child's diet, and make sure that if they want to do protein, they do more of these proteins than actually going in for too much of meats and too much of the preserved packaged and all these toxic foods which are going to create havoc with their hormones. Choose healthy fats. Fats are very important for hormonal balance because every cell of our body needs fat. In fact, without fat, you get hormonal issues. When these young kids go on a low fat diet and all, you can actually start getting hormonal issues. So choose healthy fats. Of course, no refined oils, no ghee, because the same toxins of the milk get into the ghee. No butter again. But what you can do is, for salads, you could do cold pressed olive oil, and for cooking, you can do cold pressed other oils like peanut oil, sesame oil, sunflower oil. You could actually also do oil free cooking and get in your fats from nuts, seeds. Your walnuts are great omega-3. Flax seeds are very good to balance hormones. So make sure you include these foods. And also your avocados, coconut, these are all healthy fats which won't do any damage to your body. Focus on calcium, iron, and zinc. Now, these three nutrients are very important for boys and girls when they're growing, especially iron for women is very important because low iron levels can also lead to hormonal issues. Zinc is very important because it's very important for immunity, and again for balancing insulin resistance and for your hormonal production. Calcium, again, extremely important. So all these nutrients can come from your plant-based foods, like your sesame seeds is very high in calcium, ragi is high in calcium. Your iron can come in from your green leafy vegetables, beetroot, prunes, dates, raisins, also garden cress seeds. Now, these are these tiny seeds which have very good amount of iron, very, very high in iron. So you can put little of those seeds in your child's soup or in their porridge, and that can do very well for them. Zinc, again, your nuts, seeds, whole grains, beans. So make sure that you're having a wholesome plant-based diet and you'll get all these nutrients for your child. Find sugar alternatives, because obviously we don't want to do refined sugar. So jaggery, coconut sugar, date powder. These are the things which actually are very, very good for you in case, obviously, I mean, you can't tell a teenager not to eat something sweet, avoid sweets completely, but they can always replace white sugar with this. So I would suggest you don't buy white sugar, because out of sight is out of mind. When you don't see it, you really don't want to have it, and stock up more healthier sugar alternatives so that you are in a position to actually, make some wise choices for yourself. Don't buy products with unknown ingredients. So the more packaged, processed you eat, especially all the products which have all those preservatives, additives, emulsifiers, artificial colors, sweeteners, INS, All these are very, very, very inflammatory. So make sure that you don't buy those products. You can obviously buy homemade products like homemade cookies, granolas, bars, which are made at home, and you know those people are making it with healthier ingredients. But please avoid buying all the commercially available processed and packaged foods, because they're perfect ingredients for creating hormonal imbalance in your child's body, right? So this was all about the food. Um, Next that we need to talk about is poor gut health. Now, when your gut health is poor, our gut is this garden of trillions of microbes, which include bacteria, fungi, and yeast, and they all are in a perfect symbiosis, and they are in a balance, and they do what they have to do for our health. But what happens is when our gut health goes poor, thanks to all the inflammatory and all the processed packaged foods we eat, or the amount of stress we take, or the lack of sleep, which we are going to talk about later, all these things can start creating an imbalance in the population, where you have higher population of the bad guys and the lesser population of the good guys, and this then starts creating havoc. So the bad guys produce substances which actually create problem with your brain, with your mood, with your memory, with your hormones, because the gut bacteria literally modulates every function in our body. So from your metabolism to your reproduction to your hormone production to your weight loss to your mental health, everything is modulated by the gut bacteria. So when you have uh, a higher population of the poor bacteria, you are going to have more hormonal imbalances, clearly. So we need to restore our gut bacteria, and we need to make sure we have a healthy population of the healthy gut bacteria. Now, poor gut health, what are the signs of your poor gut health? So it could be bloating, acidity, constipation, IBS. So if your child is going to the washroom every couple of times in the morning, or maybe after meals immediately they run to the loo, and they have bouts of constipation and diarrhea alternating, that's IBS. Leaky gut, so a lot of allergies in the body, hair fall, autoimmune conditions, all these are signs of a poor gut. And I've seen a lot of kids today who come to me with these issues, and this is legit. The problem is legit, because gut health their gut health is literally uh, hampered because of the lifestyle that they've led as a kid. So that's why it's very important to restore their gut. Now, what are the solutions to improve the gut bacteria? Eat fiber loaded fruits and vegetables. So fiber feeds it's the food for the bacteria in the gut. So we can't digest fiber, but fiber does a lot of benefits to us. We need to include more fiber so that we can feed the right population of the bacteria in the gut, and they grow and they improve, they produce the right chemicals in our body, especially butyrate, which is short chain fatty acid, which is very, very good for healing our gut lining and for improving our overall body, mental health, and our hormones. So make sure that you're having a lot of fiber loaded fruits and vegetables. Replace your tea and coffee with herbal teas, because tea and coffee are literally gut damaging. They increase nervousness in the body, they dampen your gut health, they weaken the gut lining, they increase acidity, they worsen the gut population, and we don't want to do that. So avoid tea and coffee. You can do herbal teas, lemongrass teas, tulsi, jasmine. That's what you need to get your kids onto. Keep a check on alcohol intake. Again, alcohol is something which creates havoc with your liver, with your gut, with all of this, and we need to improve we need to improve these organs if we want to improve our hormonal health. So it's important to keep a check on your child's alcohol intake. A couple of drinks here or there, it's okay, but make sure that they're not overdoing it. And as parents, as caretakers, we need to take care of that. Include prebiotics and probiotics. Now, prebiotics are the fiber which feed the bacteria in the gut, and probiotics are literally the bacteria that you need to put in your body. So prebiotics basically come in, all your fiber feeds the good bacteria in the gut, but there are certain foods which do it better. So your garlic, onions, and chicory root, and all your green leafy vegetables. These are very, very good prebiotics which can actually feed the good bacteria in your gut. And probiotics, you can get it from your kimchi, all fermented foods and foods. So you could, obviously, if you're making vegan curd, that is one thing. Then kanji, you can make beetroot carrot kanji, kimchi, sauerkraut. You can play around with kombuchas that are available in the market today. You can brew your own kombucha at home. So I do it. It's a very easy process. You can do that. So basically, you need to include more live bacteria and food which feeds the bacteria. And that's how you will start improving the gut population. You can also opt for a good, healthy probiotic supplement with at least 15 billion CFUs, which will actually help with your gut health. Ditch the aerated drinks and have lemon water, coconut water, and your jaljeera, all the natural waters, because aerated drinks are very high on caffeine, sugar, chemicals, everything that we don't want for our hormones. So it's best to move to the natural electrolyte rich options, which helps to feed us and our cells in a better way. Chew food well and eat slowly. Now, again, gut health is not only about what you eat, but how you eat. If you're eating food very fast, if you're not chewing your food well, the bigger pieces actually get into your stomach and start creating, um, a lot of fermentation, and the bad bacteria start feeding on it, and it decomposes. It basically becomes a ground of decomposed food. So we don't want that. Our mouth is meant to chew the food well so that you can literally liquefy it and then chew it, so that your stomach has to do less work. Your small intestine, large intestine don't have to do so much work. So you're putting less load on your digestive system if you're just putting a little more effort here to chew your food well, right? So that's why it's important um, to consciously chew your food well and tell your kids to chew their food well. And the last is don't graze, but eat only when you're hungry. Again, kids, they'll end up grazing in between. Say they've eaten their lunch, in an hour they'll eat another snack, then in an hour they'll munch on something else. And that grazing is very bad for our gut, because it starts again feeding the bad bacteria. And we do not give our gut that time to eliminate the first food. So there's something called as migrating motor complex, which needs at least about 3 to 4 hours of not eating anything. And it's like a wave. It's like a wave in our gut which passes by, and that wave pushes everything down. But if there is already food in your stomach to be digested, that migrating motor complex cannot work. That peristaltic wave doesn't happen. So you need to give that gap between your meals. And once only when you feel hungry is when you need to eat, because your hunger is a sign that now more food can come in. So this is something that we really need to keep in mind when we are working on our gut health. The next is lack of movement. Now, again, we were meant to move. We were not meant to sit in one place. But thanks to our lifestyle today, and especially with COVID coming in, our lifestyle has become so sedentary that everything happens on the screen right now. Even I'm talking to you in front of a screen, sitting on a chair. And most of our lives, we live like this today. So I think what we need to understand is our Stone Age men, our ancient men did not live this life. That's why they did not have these problems. These are all very urban problems and very modern problems today that we are seeing, because we are not moving enough. Movement is one of the main sources of nourishment for our body, because when we move is when we are feeding our muscles, is when we are getting the blood circulated, is when we are removing the bad fats from our blood, is when we are balancing our hormones, because movement is something that we are meant to do. We are meant to move functionally, not just 1 hour in the gym. But that's what we are doing today. We are just doing 1 hour in the gym and we feel, oh, we've moved, and 23 hours we're just, lazing around, or we are sitting at one place. So we need to actually get more consciously moving in our day-to-day life, like literally taking stairs whenever you can, working in the kitchen, getting up and getting yourself a glass of water, and not depending on help for that. A lot of ways in which you can actually move. So that's something that we really need to keep in mind. And movement is important for our mental health as well. It releases happy hormones, endorphins. It builds confidence in our body, in us. So very important for teens who are going through these hormonal issues to focus on movement, because even if their body may not be perfect, their hormonal health may not be perfect, but when they release those endorphins, they start feeling so much better, and that's when they're more motivated to work towards their health. So that's why it's important to focus on movement. Opt for a workout that's what are the solutions for movement? Opt for a workout that's enjoyable. So most kids do workouts, or even if they're forced to do workouts, they do something that their friend is doing. That's not right, because you need to do something that you really enjoy. And only when you do something that you really enjoy is when your body will enjoy and give you the results. So it could be anything. If your child loves yoga, swimming, Zumba, maybe HIIT, just ask them to choose whatever works for them. Again, some kids overdo it because they feel they'll get faster results. Overdoing is not the solution. Overdoing, in fact, worsens your hormonal balance. The more you do it, the more stress you put on your body, the more load on your body, and your body's metabolism goes down. The hormonal imbalance comes in again. So we don't want to do that. We want to do it till we feel energetic and not exhausted. Keep it moderately intense. It's best to keep your exercise moderate intense, not very intense, not very light. Moderate intensity is what pushes the body to do better and creates a state of mild stress, which is actually good for the body, which the body learns to deal with and get stronger and better. And moderate intensity has shown to improve hormonal balance, especially in women, and reduce fat percentage and improve their confidence level as well. Move consciously. Like I said, we need to be more aware of how many hours we are sitting, and maybe take more movement breaks throughout a day. So every 1 to 2 hours of sitting, get up for 5-10 minutes and move around, do something, just keep moving. Make sure that you're taking those movement breaks, because that is very necessary. It's non-negotiable. Do restorative workouts like yoga and Pilates. So if your child is very stressed out, if they're leading a very hectic life, ask them to start with restorative workouts like yoga and Pilates, because it will help them tone their body, bring the hormonal balance back, because there's a lot of breath, body, mind alignment when we are doing yoga and Pilates. So these workouts actually help you improve your body overall, including your mental health and your hormonal health. Yeah. Get 45 minutes of exercise 4 to 5 times a week. So yes, 45 minutes of, because we are sitting through the day, we cannot neglect the fact that we need to work out. So 45 minutes of exercise 4 to 5 times a week is something we need to get in. And this will help us to take care of our hormones, excess fat, and insulin resistance, and all the drama that's happening in our body. The fourth reason causes lack of sleep. Now, we all know kids are literally trading their sleep today for Netflix, for gaming, for a lot of other things, and they're sleeping at 3 and 4 in the night. Now, we have a circadian rhythm, right? So, our body actually deals with a circadian rhythm where we wake up with the sun and sleep with the moon. But today, obviously, we're not sleeping with the moon. Most of the kids today are sleeping when the sun rises. And that is why the body is going completely off. In the olden times, we didn't have a watch, we didn't have a clock which told us what the time is. We just knew as humans that now it's sunrise and it's time to get up and get going with the day. And when the sun sets, it's not safe to be out to do things. It's better to be home, sleep, and get your rest. Today, we have LED lights. Today, we have everything available 24/7. So we don't understand the circadian rhythm that we have to wake up with the sun and sleep with the moon. That's when our body works the best. With the sun, when we wake up, the cortisol level goes up, which gives us a signal that get up, get going with the day, achieve your dreams. And as after 4 o'clock, as the sun starts setting, our body produces melatonin, which is a sleep hormone, which tells us, okay, now rest for the day, right? This is how we are meant to live. But today, that's not happening. So, what are the solutions for this? We need to really work on this, because I really tell my clients, I said, your food here and there, exercise here and there, everything is okay. But if you are not sleeping on time, don't expect your hormones to come back on track, because that's not going to happen. Our hormones work with the circadian rhythm of the sun and the moon cycle and with our body clock. So if we are not sleeping on time, our hormones cannot be in balance. Literally, there is no signal for them to be in balance. So what are the solutions? Set a proper sleep schedule. I mean, your kids need to have a proper sleep schedule, a regular sleeping time. Like they'll sleep around, say, I'm saying at max 12, say between 11 and 1. And when they wake up between 7 and 9, that's what they need to start with. Eventually, they can get to 11, sleep by 10:30, 11. But they need to have a schedule where they're sleeping at least by 12 average and waking up by 8 average. And every day, if you do that and you have a proper sleep schedule, they will not have any of the issues, and their body will work much better. The metabolism will be much better. The hormone excess hormone excretion will be much better. Keep the room dark, because again, even a little light can even a little light can zap your melatonin, and it can put your melatonin down, and that can literally take away your sleep. So a lot of kids today have insomnia. They can't sleep. They're tired, but they can't sleep because there's a lot of light. They are just exposed to so much of blue screens, LED lights around them, because of which they are not able to sleep. Besides that, of course, the stress and the tension the kids take today is much more than what we had as kids, right? So I think we need to make sure that the room is dark, and they avoid screens 1 hour before sleeping. That's the next point, because screens have blue lights and it zaps melatonin. So screens not 1 hour before bedtime. Dim the lights after evening. So make your house atmosphere dim and really very subtle, so that your body perceives that it's time to sleep, and the environment is right to sleep, rather than still being like, okay, I need to work because there's so much. It's still day, like the body's feeling it's still day all the time, and we don't want our body to feel that, right? We need rest. We need recovery. Only when we sleep is when we release all the excess unwanted stuff from our body, the toxins, the hormones. Our cells repair itself when we are sleeping. So if we are not sleeping, we are missing out on a lot. Calm your nervous system before hitting the bed. Very important. Most of us are very active today. The kids today, especially, they have a very, very, very hectic life, very activated all the time. Mind is always active. And when they sleep in that state, the body is not healing very well. So it's important to calm the nervous system before sleeping so they can do a nice yoga nidra meditation before they sleep, or just listen to anything that's calming so that their mind calms down and then they get into the sleeping mode so that the body can heal better. The fifth reason is unmanaged stress. Now, again here, this is I think most issues in our life come up because of this, because we are the only species that can create stress by sitting here and thinking about something that has not happened. And I think as humans, this should be taught in school. One thing that's very important, what I feel, is to be in the present moment. We are always told to be overachievers, to do things, to achieve, to be better than this one, to be competitive. But we are not told to be happy with where we are and just be in the moment. Not think too much about the past. No, don't live in the future because that's not happened. What is and what you can make the most of is now. And I think if we teach our kids that, we'll really have a very healthy nation, and a very healthy future. Stress is something that's inevitable with the amount of pressure that kids have today, with the amount of work, with the amount of peer pressure, with the amount of academic pressure, social pressure. Stress is inevitable, but there are ways to manage stress. Now, what happens when we are stressed out? All our body systems shut down to a certain extent. So our digestive system shuts down, our excretory system shuts down, our reproductive system completely shuts down, because when you're stressed out, the body feels, obviously it's not safe to have a baby, it's not safe to support a baby growth in this environment, so why do I need to be active? That shuts down, your immunity goes low, everything works suboptimally. So when, if your child is in a constant state of stress, you cannot expect them to improve their hormonal balance, and you cannot expect them to have healthy periods or have a healthy body, especially for men, have healthy sex drive, healthy body. That's not going to happen. For women, they're not going to have regular periods, because you're really working at a state where the body is just wanting to survive, not thrive. So what are the solutions for unmanaged stress? You need to learn to manage it. So for that, first thing is you need to be aware of stress. So very important to teach your kids to be aware of stress, as to be careful and understand, are they really overthinking? Are they getting overwhelmed? Are they getting worked up? And if they are, then they need to do a lot of practices to calm that stress in the body. So incorporate pranayams. Pranayams are breath works, your anulom vilom and your kapal bhati and brahmari. All these are very calming. And the more pranayams you do, the lesser cortisol your body produces, which is the stress hormone, which goes high in stress. It reduces your cortisol levels. The next is meditation. Make sure that your child can incorporate at least 5 minutes of meditation every morning, if not more. And meditation can literally change their life. It can calm them for the entire day. It's literally calming yourself and centering yourself to get into this world, get out there and do whatever you have to do, but being centered and not being scattered. It's important. And there are a lot of amazing meditations available on YouTube, which your kids can actually opt for and pick up and do. And that can really help them improve their health. Take conscious breathing breaks. Again, very important. Kids need to learn to breathe consciously during the day. When we get stressed, we breathe shallow and we don't take care of our breath. We don't realize we're not breathing enough and breathing well. And that again affects our entire mental health, our hormonal health. So every 1 hour, tell your child to take a 5 minute break to do any breath work or just to do deep belly breathing and focus on their breath. And that can make a big difference in the way their hormones work and in just the way they be as a person with other people and the way they show up in the world. Listen to music. Now, listen to music does not mean listen to music and do 10 things along with it. Listen to music means just listen to music when you're listening. So that's called mindfulness. Mindfulness is being at one place and doing what you're doing and putting a full mind into it. So when you're listening to music, your favorite music, just listen to the notes, listen to the beats, feel the music. That in itself is a good break to lower your stress levels. The next is talk to a friend. Encourage your kids to talk to somebody. It could be a friend, it could be a therapist, it could be you if you are as friendly as you can be with your child and if your child feels comfortable. But don't suppress them. Ask them to talk out their feelings, to tell you whatever they feel. Um, whatever their life choices are, whatever decisions they want to make for their life, whatever they feel they want to be in life, I think they need to speak. And as I think it's important for them to let it out, because today I'm seeing a lot of youngsters, a lot of teenagers are holding it in within them with the fear of being judged, with the fear of being misunderstood, with the fear of being scrimped at. I mean, just a lot of fears where they feel like, they're not going to be validated. Their emotions, their choices are not going to be validated. So they don't talk to anyone. And that in itself can be a poison in the body, which actually affects the hormones. Because when we are unhappy, when we are holding so much emotional baggage within us, our hormones don't do well. Next is, don't take life so seriously. Tell your kids it's okay if they didn't fare very well in an exam. It's okay if they didn't do their best. Life is to be lived and to be experienced rather than to be judged and to be, uh, you know, uh, lived in a certain way. And if you don't live that way, then you're not living life. That's not life. Life is, the beauty of life is to be okay with and in acceptance of whatever is happening in and around you the way it is, and just being an observer and flowing with it rather than trying to hold it so tight in your hands. So if your child is doing that, you need to tell your child to enjoy life, to kind of just not take life so seriously, because these are all a part and parcel of life. Whatever's happening with them, it's a learning process, and I'm sure they'll do much better. The other factors which can affect hormonal imbalance is smoking. Now, smoking nicotine, tobacco has actually shown to affect hormone production in both men and women, and it can definitely affect um, the way your hormones work. So smoking, it can be passive smoking. If someone is smoking in the house and your kids are around it, that can also affect them. But today, a lot of kids are doing vapes. It's the most common thing that I'm seeing around. um, Smoking, hookahs, all of that is very, very bad for their hormonal health. Endocrine disruptors, like I spoke about, all the creams, the plastic bottles, all the cosmetics, even your detergents for that matter, all the chemical stuff that you use, even if you're using it externally, it goes into your body. Even your air fresheners, what you spray in the house, they're highly toxic and chemicalized. So when you're actually spraying that, you're consuming a lot of chemicals. It's going into your body. Your liver has to process. After a point, the liver can't process it. It gets sluggish, and then it can't even process your hormones. So that's why it's important to buy more chemical free products as much as you can, toxin free and chemical free products. The next is emotional eating. So when your child cannot regulate their emotions, like I said, they don't have anyone to speak, or they're just so filled up inside, they find comfort in food, because food can be very soothing. And emotional eating can damage their gut, can damage their hormones, can literally increase the insulin resistance and fat on their belly, which is visceral fat, which is very bad for overall health. That can in future increase their heart problems, cholesterol, diabetes, risk of all these issues. So emotional eating, if you are observing your child eating emotionally or binge eating, they need help. Seek help of a professional, seek help of a therapist who can help them to get out of it. Lack of sunshine vitamin, that's vitamin D. So our kids hardly get sunlight today. They are out either to college, and then they're out for classes. They hardly are in the park or in the open where they're getting sunlight. They're sunbathing, and that's the reason why a lot of hormonal issues are happening. So vitamin D actually is a hormone, and most people today are deficient in vitamin D. So we need to make sure that test your child's levels for vitamin D, see what their levels are, and then eventually put them on the right supplementation, and ask them if they can in the morning, early morning, take about 15 to 20 to 30 minutes of early morning sunlight and minimalistic clothes, no sunscreens. And that will start improving their health, because vitamin D is very important for your hormone production, for your sex hormone production. So that's why we are seeing a lot of hormonal imbalances today as well. Dehydration, very important. We know 70% of our body is water, and when we do not drink enough water, we are not able to process our food. We are not able to process uh, or do our cells are not able to do any reactions that are very important for us. So dehydration is one thing that can affect your hormonal health. So making sure that you're hydrated well, you're drinking enough water, electrolyte rich water, like I said, lemon water, coconut water, that's very important for you to improve your hormonal health and to flush out toxins and to flush out everything that's not serving good for your body, right? So these are the factors which affect hormonal health. The next thing that I really want to speak is things to keep in mind as parents. I think this is very important. So if you're a parent of a teenager who's listening to this, you need to make sure that there's certain things you keep in mind. First, you need to bring in the change if you want to change your child for the better. Listen to them, very important. Hear them out. Do not interrupt. Do not listen to them for giving your opinion. Listen to them, just as a plain listener, and you'll see how healed your child will feel. Don't judge them. Most kids feel judged by their own parents, so they don't open up to their parents. They feel like their parents will judge them if they say how they feel. So please consciously don't try judging your child for anything, because even if you don't say to them, the energy is felt and they feel uncomfortable in front of you, and they'll never be able to share and you'll never be able to know. Be a friend. Your child may go through a lot of ups and downs and things that you may not approve of because of the generation gap. They may be doing things that you don't approve of. But even if you want to change them, you need to first be a friend. The friendly energy is very important towards them rather than a parent energy. And that will help your child to get walk on the right path of healing. Be a good example. So that's what I said. If you want to change your child, you need to change yourself. You need to improve your child's habits by being an example. So when you change your habits, when you become a good example for them, when you do the right thing, they'll follow. They'll follow you. So be that example. Don't body shame them. Your child is going through a lot of issues anyways internally. They could be extra thin, they could be overweight, they could be obese, they could be short, they could be tall, plump, whatever, but don't body shame them. Don't show them that you are judging them on basis of the way their body looks, because if you show them that, they're definitely going to feel the same when they go outside, and they won't be able to live with confidence. And home is the place where you feel safe and secure. So make sure that if don't even do it in a joke, in a manner of don't do it for humor as well. Like, a lot of parents tease their kids, "Arey, tu moti hai, jana walk karke aa." That's not the way you talk to kids, because we don't know, but these things subconsciously really play on the child's mind and it affects them when they become adults. Look into their needs, make sure that you're aware of what your child needs. They may not say it, but as parents, you will know. So make sure that you care for them and they feel cared and looked after. Safe home environment, avoid fights, avoid issues, hassles in front of them that really affects them, and that affects their hormones more than anything else can. So make sure that you're creating a safe home environment where they can come in, feel rested, feel secure, and then they can face the big bad world outside when they have to be out there. And uh, they know they have a safe place to come back, and that is their home. There should be that place, that environment that you create for them. Give them space to express themselves. They may cry, they may howl, they may scream, they may shout. Let them. Let them, because when you let them, they are healing. They are allowing their emotions to flow through them. Do not stop them to do that, because when you stop them to do that, they don't know where to do it. And that becomes um, a disease inside. So make sure that you give them space to express whatever they have to, and then explain them once they calm down is when you can explain them the right and the wrong. But let them express. Thank you. This was all about how to take care of your teenager's hormonal health. And I had a great time discussing this with you. I hope you did too. And I hope to see you soon.